I am Commissioner Kara Clementi, and I'm so glad all of you made it here. I wanted to just introduce my mayor who is here right now, Mr. Michael Higgins. He's standing in the back. Thank you, Mayor, for letting us have our meeting here. I really appreciate it. And I hope to have a very good and productive meeting today. So thank you very much. And one logistic, the bathrooms are out this last door, down the stairs, up the stairs, to the left. So you get your steps in today, everyone. So let's have a great meeting and thank you very much.
Meeting, buddy.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item C, approval of the minutes from the August 14, 2023 meeting.
A motion is in order. Been supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? This action stands approved. Next item on the agenda.
Item D, under unfinished business, requesting commission approval of recommended comprehensive executive budget appropriations ordinance for fiscal year 2023, 2024, and projected budget for fiscal year 2024, 2025. A, discussion and presentation by the Register of Deeds office.
Who's present to make that presentation? If you would, please state your name, title.
Need assistance on how to turn this on. Good morning. I'm Harry Caladrack. I'm the Chief Deputy Register of Deeds. Along with me today is our Finance Deputy, Jamie Wright.
Good morning. You may proceed.
Good morning. In law. Commissioner Harry Caladrack, Chief Deputy Register of Deeds. Along with me, as I said, is Jamie Wright, our Finance Deputy. You have in front of you already a copy of the 2023-2024 budget for our office. We have our budget submitted to us previously by the office. Briefly, the responsibilities of the Wayne County Register of Deeds to accept recording documents related to real estate in the county. This includes documents, mortgages, discharges of mortgages, construction liens, judgments affecting interest in real estate, and other similar documents. The goal of our office when recording these documents is to make sure that the documents are cataloged properly so that anyone searching the records of the Register of Deeds can locate those documents. Both individual and real estate professionals rely on our ability to maintain accurate and easily searchable records. Our office is dedicated to promptly recording these documents and indexing them so that the information is available to the public. Anyone can search our database of properties. You can go online to our website at WayneCountyLandRecords.com. They may also come into our office where they can perform a self-serve kiosk on kiosks that we make available, or they may come to the counter and have somebody, one of our land record analysts, assist them in the search. Over the past year, we've made several improvements to assist our constituents and provide more efficient services to them. A major improvement was the installation of a new queuing system for customers when they come to our office. People may now schedule an appointment online for our website, or they may come to our office as a walk-in customer. Appointments are given preference, but the new system allows individuals to be promptly and wait time to a minimum. We've also taken steps to provide additional benefits to our employees to help retain them. We've increased the number of opportunities for employees to work at home. Additionally, Mr. Youngblood negotiated with the Lee County Casino to contract with 150 parking spaces in their parking structure. He has made those spaces available to employees of the Register of Deeds, as well as those employees of the Wayne County Clerk's Office and the Wayne County Treasurer's Office who work at the building 400 Monroe. Regarding our budget projections,
So it might have. It was working really well.
Well. We want to dump it down the microphone.
What's that? There is another microphone at the podium if you want to stand up there. I don't know.
That one that
Mhm,
works.
yeah. Yeah.
No, but we want the,
You just press the green button. Or press the button maybe. It'll turn green.
I'll go back. to-
Okay.
You know, I record documents. That's not necessarily technical. Back to my presentation. Regarding our budget projections for the upcoming year, we expect revenue to be consistent or slightly down from the current budget year revenues. Revenue at the Register of Deeds office is highly sensitive to the state of the economy, particularly as it pertains to the real estate market. Increases in interest rates over the past 12 months have resulted in much higher interest rates on mortgages. This has slowed the sale of houses in Wayne County, as it has throughout the country, nationally. This has especially affected the market for refinancing mortgages, as people are understandably not willing to enter into a new mortgage and making an interest rate that is 2 or even 3 times as much as their current mortgage interest. This has decreased our revenues to our office. Accordingly, our office is reducing the number of employees currently on staff. We currently have 63 full-time employees with 19 vacancies. Our projected budgets anticipate a reduction in the number of full-time employees to 59 for the upcoming budget year 2023 to 24, and down to 55 for the budget year 2024 to 25. We will maintain the current vacancies, but will increase hiring should the need arise as the number of documents increase. One major change over the last several years has been the increase in electronic submission of documents for recording. Currently, approximately 80 to 85% of our documents are submitted electronically. While electronic submission does reduce the amount of face-to-face interaction between staff and customers, it does not decrease the amount of work involved for accepting documents. For recording, properly recording documents requires careful examination of the documents and inputting data into our record-keeping system. The data entry is referred to as indexing. Indexing is critical to fulfilling our mission, which is to provide easily accessible public records for real estate in Wayne County. Accurate indexing is essential to ensuring that any individual who wants to search for recorded documents can locate the documents. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to mention the work that Mr. Youngblood has done to guard the integrity of the information and documents recorded in our office. Michigan is a race to record state. Simply put, that means that an individual who records a document first has certain priorities over someone who records their documents after that person. The most common reference we're all familiar with is the first mortgage versus second mortgage. The first mortgage is recorded first and has certain priorities over a second mortgage. If we are raised to record documents, the Register of Deeds office must check documents that are in recordable form without verifying the accuracy of the information on the document. This is a statutory requirement to our office. Unfortunately, people take advantage of that and submit fraudulent deeds with forged signatures. Mr. Youngblood created the nation's first deed fraud task force in partnership with the prosecutor and the sheriff. Additionally, he has worked with the legislature to improve the laws to prosecute those who engage in this activity. One example is his successful efforts to have the legislature increase the penalties on notaries who fraudulently state that they saw someone sign deeds when they did not. Thanks to Mr. Youngblood's efforts, it is now a 5-year felony for a notary to falsely say that they witnessed someone sign a deed. Previously, it was only a misdemeanor. The deed fraud unit has successfully prosecuted notaries for violating the statute. Additionally, Mr. Youngblood has provided a free service for a constituent so that they can monitor records of our office. This service is called Fraud Guard. People can sign up for Fraud Guard through our website, again, WayneCountyLandRecords.com. Fraud Guard is simple to sign up for. Only requires a person to put in an email address and their name. Perhaps if they have a spouse or partner on the property too, they put their name in. Once they have done that, you will receive an email alert. Any document that's recorded with our office that has their name on it. They can then contact us. If they have suspicions, we can check the document for them, see if it's something that they should be concerned about, and advise them, if it is, what they can do, except perhaps even filing complaint through our deed fraud committee. Currently, the service is linked to an individual's name. So unfortunately, if there's another Harry Kalogourakis in Wayne County and their company does something, I might get a false alarm. But better to get a false alarm than no alarm at all. We are working with our vendor. We are hopeful that sometime in the next year, we'll be able to add indexing references to property addresses in the Fraud Guard. That would help to eliminate false alerts. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Welcome any questions you might have regarding our proposed budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will now offer a question from commissioners. I'd like to remind commissioners to please state your name each time you speak so that the viewers or individuals on Zoom can recognize the individuals who are speaking at that time. Oh, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you being here, and I appreciate what the Register of Deeds office does to protect our proper owners of property and real estate across the county. The Fraud Guard, I think, was a great step, and I appreciate you indicating that that there's trying to work with the vendor to get some changes. I would think rather than the name of the street or the street address, a property ID number or tax ID number would be the exclusive number for one property, and would have we explored that as to whether or not the vendor could do that instead of street.
That is one of the considerations. That is one of the considerations that we talked about with the vendor, yes.
Okay, I think that,
It is not off the table.
okay, good, because it's a unique number, whereas an address might be replicated with other people. You might have multiple properties with an address, a house number, and a street. Would be a duplicate. But anyway, I appreciate that, and I think anything do to guard property owners from misdeeds of others is very worthwhile. I did want to ask, have you see fraud, the attempts at fraud, has it increased, decreased? And I would assume that it probably has increased, but you're the authority.
We do have some numbers with you regarding that. Really, our, at least in our office, and I want to just state, part of our situation is that in order for us to take action, the victim needs to come to us. So just the fact that there's a complaint made or the number of complaints is not necessarily totally accurate reflection of all the fraud going on. If I've taken Jamie's house with a fraudulent deed, she doesn't come and tell anybody, there's unfortunately nothing we can do about it until she comes forward and says, hey, wait a second, Harry's taken my house. We need to do something about this. All right. So I want to keep that in perspective. We peaked a few years ago, right before the pandemic. But this year, last year we had 582 complaints submitted to our office. This year, through July, we're at 471. So we're running a little bit ahead of last year's schedule. Those aren't exactly year to date, but you can see that we're running ahead of last year. Of those, now all of the complaints we receive are not necessarily problems. A lot of times we get people calling about tax foreclosure costs, which are not really deed fraud. Of those, we've opened up 96 investigations this year into criminal activity. And we've got criminal warrants down to 18 people right now. Now, it may not sound like a lot, but it really is. And we just keep plugging away at it. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, Mareki? Yes, did you ask to be recognized?
No, I didn't, but I would like to.
You can reach.
You just talking to these?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
press the button.
That's the poppy. The poppy was.
Yes.
Thank you. So just going back to some of the statistics you mentioned, because we have some of this in our. So, as of this year through June, 6 houses have been returned. Out of how many?
Well, that would be related to the complaints that we have.
Right.
And generally, it's each complaint represents one house. We don't generally have multiple houses. So that, and what happens, how do you get a house back? Means that ultimately you have successful conviction. What needs to happen. We, like a lot of the folks here, are COVID that created that law in the criminal court over there, unfortunately so. And getting our cases in front of a judge has been problematic recently. So we do have a backup on our cases getting before a judge. But really, the only one that can say a deed is no good and that this property properly belongs to Jenny is a judge. So we have to get in front of the judge to do that. So that's where I hang up right now.
Okay, because I'm not that familiar with this, but like you gave the example of Jenny. When would a person realize that somebody was messing around with their deed?
If they have fraud card, right away, okay? Which is a free service.
Yeah, okay,
So
yeah.
everybody sees commercials on TV, there's something you sign up for, that's not us. Come to our website, it's free. But generally, this happens when somebody tries to do something with their property and they get some kind of alert. Perhaps it's that they're trying to sell property and the title search reveals that there's a deed out there that shouldn't. Perhaps there's a bill that comes in somebody else's name, property tax bill, that they see, and just, wait a second, what's that name doing on this bill? How's that happen? Some people have to be alerted to this. Sometimes some of the properties, it takes a while for people to realize, unfortunately, vacant properties, but the targets often, and because the absent owners are not paying full attention to the property, they take some time to realize that there's a problem, or the owners are really.
Okay, and so what kind of fee structure is there for people to look on any information in the register of deeds? Real estate, people, private citizens, is that all on the website?
It usually is on the website. If you're doing it on the website, if you're doing a name search strictly, which is for everything.
Okay,
Okay. If you want to get a more specific search, we do, again, I don't have the values off the top of my head. We charge 15 minutes to then search and say on a property, commissioner information, property ID number, if you want to use that parameter. You go out and find the documents, and then there's a charge of $2 a page if you want to download the documents out to your home computer.
Okay.
The $2 per page copy is consistent if you come in person also. If you come to our self-serve kiosk, you do the full search for free.
okay,
If you come and ask for the assistance of a land record analyst, we charge $5 per property address for a search.
but if you go to a kiosk,
If you go to the self-serve kiosk in our office, and those are available for 3 o'clock every day.
okay, and you can just, I saw there's still some restrictions with people coming in.
No.
Okay,
Well, we reserve the right to limit the number of people. Our new system is moving people through. In the recent past, we have not had any issue to ask people not to come in, so we allow them working.
Okay, and you mentioned that 10 positions are going to be eliminated. Are those people being let go? Are they being moved to?
No. We have some unfilled positions right now, which we're holding open. We're just not going over the next couple of budget cycles. We don't need them.
All right, thank you. I'm all set. Thanks.
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Marecki asked a lot of the questions that I had. But is there any grants that we or your department get for the deed fraud unit to help fund it? And what's the cost to fund this unit?
We do not get any grants. That comes, all this money comes out of our budget, including the people that we pay for from the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, that assist. Jenny, I think I have a number.
Generally, the cost of the fraud unit is mostly made up of our prosecutor staff that work diligently along with our staff to go through the process of investigating and putting everything together. Generally, we're about $750 a year, also. And so, would you say per case? Is there like a per case cost? Or no, we've never broken it down that way. Okay. Just wondering what it costs to prosecute someone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Harry, thank you all for showing up. Yes. Oh, no, yeah, we didn't know yet. Commissioner Baydun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I gotta say, it was a goal, I have to appreciate that for the department. And I couldn't help but mention that when my last name turned out was part of the County Prosecutor's Office.
Was in law school. Yeah. And working with them.
Yes. You know, I work with them at the height of the meltdown. So, I know my title company, the one that we did Title One, and other title companies, most of them, or not all of them, they use e-recording. Do you find other title companies that are not, they're still behind, they're not using e-recording?
Title companies are generally using e-recording. It's not exclusive, and some do still bring documents in by hand. But mostly, as I said, close to 85% of our recordings these days are electronic, and most of them are coming from title companies. Really, the things, the walk-ups that we have are much more personal transactions, generally like family, mom coming in wanting to add a child to their property on a quick claim deed sort of thing. Those are the kinds of stuff that we're getting at our counter. But professional real estate attorneys, title companies, both of those are using a e-recording service of some type.
I always pay attention to these fraud cases. You find that most of these fraud cases involve usually family members that take advantage of the seniors who might be developing dementia, most of the time. You see that a lot.
A good proportion of the problems do involve family of one sort or another. Sometimes, like you say, elderly, who we consider elderly use in the prosecutor's office. We see that sometimes. We also see little disputes between siblings, saying, well, I've done everything. I think I should get the property. And even forging mom's signature on deeds, even when mom hasn't gone along with this. So we've seen, but families do make up a good portion of the deed fraud complaints that we do receive.
Thank you. Thank you again for everything.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Harry, for your presentation.
Do you have kiosks any place other than in the registered deeds office?
No, they're only at the register of deeds office, although the information, the search capabilities that are available at those kiosks are available through our online, search, uh, capabilities. It does cost an individual that 15-minute increment to do the full searching capabilities, but those are available remotely through our website.
Thank you. Is the sheriff still a part of that fraud unit?
Sheriff sale, like in like a mortgage foreclosure sale?
Yeah.
No, that's not part of our.
But were they at one time?
The sheriff's department is there, really for like arrest, ability, like when we identify somebody and have warrants issues, we can use the sheriff to go pick up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you. We'll go back to, Commissioner, Baker McCormick, for a brief follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of years ago, there was an issue with the staffing of surveyors or I guess you were looking at training so that we could bring in more surveyors. Did you rectify that or where are we on that?
I think that what you're referring to, engineers, which are surveyors generally. And we do have three classifications. We do have our plat engineer analyst, which is not really a licensed surveyor. We do have a plat engineer, which is a surveyor, and plat engineer supervisor. Currently, we do have plat engineer supervisor. We do have an open position that we are advertising for the plat engineer to be in there. We are able to do our work right now, but we would like to get that other person. We also are are offering training to some of our staff for BlackNet interpretation, and so that they can expand their abilities here in our office. We currently have a weekly course going on that 6 of our land representatives are being are participating in, and with additional certifications. We're trying to help our staff learn some new skills and help them.
Great. I just recall that was an issue and it's an issue around the country.
Well, it is, the state is having trouble hiring surveyors. It seems that people are just not going into that field anymore. Young people are not becoming surveyors.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Harry and Ms. Wright. I would like to also remind you, as commission staff had given you notice, that comments that you made this morning, please provide them to Mr. Adams so we can have a complete record of your testimony or comments this morning. Thank you again. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Next item B, discussion and presentation by the Economic Development Department.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everyone?
Doing fine. Doing fine. Please state your name and
Absolutely. I'm Philip Shake. I'm the Director of Economic Development. Good morning, Commissioners. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to get to the situation real quick. Good morning. And I just wanted to do a check real quick, make sure that Zoom is working. I do have my budget analyst on Zoom, so I just want to make sure that it is working.
It's working.
Wanda Taylor. Good morning again. First and foremost, my name is Joseph Sheikh. I'm the Director of Economic Development. I want to introduce my team members that are here with us today as well. Wanda Taylor, our budget analyst, is here via Zoom. Tuesday Redmond, to my left is our Director of Community Development. Anthony Cartwright is our Director of the Wayne County Land Bank. Representing the Economic Vitality team, we have David Schreiber, our Senior Business Development Manager. Lucius Anthony, our Project Manager. Dorothy Martin, as well as Project Manager. We also have James Jernigan from Corporate Counsel and Sean Farrell representing the Allen Law Group, who is a consulting attorney with our department as well. As this body is aware, I was recently appointed as the Director of Economic Development Department. Been a lot of fun. The budget for you today is a stepping stone as we assess and launch this department into the future of Friday. I'm currently creating an economic development plan that will provide a vision, goals, and strategy under the leadership of Mr. Evans. This department houses the newly created Sustainability Division. This division is a product of the conversations had via the Wayne County Sustainability Advisory Group. Countless conversations were had with community organizations, business leaders, government officials, and Wayne County residents. From those conversations, the Wayne County Sustainability Program was created, which we now have evolved into a division that will act as a convener, partner, and forge the pathway moving forward for sustainability and resilience work in Wayne County. Two projects that will be housed in this division right away will be the Wayne County Resilience Hub Network, as well as the Internal County Energy Efficiency Initiative. Another division that we house is the Community Development Division. This division houses our annual HUD allocations for CDBG, home, and ESG. Some services that are provided include housing rehab, lead abatement, demolition, public park improvements, and streetscape improvements. We're currently utilizing NSP funds to build homes in Heron Trent. We're currently utilizing NSP 3 funds to do necessary demolitions in the city of Highland Park. 16 currently are under contract and 3 are being executed next week. We're currently utilizing CDBG and CDV funds for $1.2 million in food distribution to communities in need across Wayne County, partnering with Focus Hope. Numerous other projects are in the queue as this division stays busy, dedicated to residents in need across Wayne County. Next up, we have the Wayne County Land Bank. While this division is housed in our department, it reports solely to the Wayne County Land Bank. The newly renamed Economic Vitality. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for allowing us to rename that grant reward process. It's going to eliminate a lot of confusion. This division leads the charge on attraction and retention, workforce development, small business resources, and engaging with all 43 communities on their economic development needs. We also oversee the BRA, EDC, CDE, and Stadium Authority. This division is also the engine behind $339 million of SLURF projects, also known as ARPA, and future revenue replacement projects, which we worked with Commission to allocate $190 million from SLURF to revenue replacement funds. Under the leadership of Mr. Evans, our team was able to bring forth Batch 2 SLURF projects as from when I inherited the department as interim director at that time, totaling a total of 14 total projects, which was $77,648,625 of investments, which was approved by this commission, and thank you for that as well. Our team has diligently worked to improve the process. Part of this includes reviewing Batch 1 as well as Batch 2, learning what happened in Batch 1 prior to my coming on, and seeing what we could do better. Looking at Batch 2 as I came on in a process from A through Z, I came on at X, seeing how we could do it better. And that's what we're working on currently. In Batch 1, we had 15 projects, $84 million, $45,160 investment. We're now currently working on revenue replacement projects. What does this mean? Under the leadership of Mr. Evans, we are currently in the process of identifying eligible projects, doing a complete review of Batch 1, Batch 2, as well as making sure that we're crossing our I's, dotting our T's, and the process is being paid attention to, and making sure that everything is in line, so when we come to the commission with a presentation, you all will be happy with the product. We truly appreciate this body and the role that you all play, because we are dedicated to being transparent and working with all commissioners to provide the residents and stakeholders of Wayne County with the best possible service. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. A couple of questions that I'm going to start off with before opening it up for questions from the members of the committee and commission members who may be present. Okay. So wanted to talk to you about the sustainability and innovation division in regards to the source of funding that is being proposed.
Yeah.
Yes. So how are you, requesting in this budget to fund out the divisions for this upcoming fiscal year?
Yes, okay, that's a great question. This is a new division. With that, we currently have a FEMA grant over a 3-year period for $1,137,000. We also have ARPA funds over a 3-year period for $1.5 million. And another grant for county EV fleet conversion for $400,000. We've also added additional funds just for the growth of the department as well. And we are looking to hire on a sustainability officer or a lead for the sustainability division, which was already there. It was housed within Economic Vitality. Now it will be overseeing the division, as well as looking at creating a good structure within that division that will allow us to not only take on the projects that are already going on, but also taking in new projects and again, leading the way, leading the charge, and creating a pathway for sustainability and resilience going forward.
As I mentioned to another department that came before this committee the other day, in which they indicated that they wanted to, or they're proposing utilization of the post ARPA dollars. It was the intent of the commission when we took the action a couple of months ago that any ARPA dollars that come from our reserve or the fund balance would specifically be discussed, and it was a specific action associated with that. And so to have, this is the first time to hear that the ARPA dollars are being utilized in both the previous requested fashion and this fashion is kind of it brings out more questions. Absolutely understand the intent. And then also our staff did ask a question.
I do want to clarify that. For the ARPA funds that are being used for sustainability, these were allocated prior to my even coming. So this was done in batch one. These are not new ARPA funds or a request from ARPA that we're doing.
So the sustainability division,
This $1.5 million was already allocated, I believe, in batch one.
okay, in batch one for what purpose and intent? I'm saying in sustainability.
Yeah, but
okay.
it was housed within Economic Vitality. There was a grant that was that housed. So the way those ARPA funds were broken down, the Resiliency Hub Network for community engagement, $100,000. Site improvement grants to Hub Network partners was $800,000. Energy efficiency audit was $300,000, and the sustainability officer for salary was $300,000. So that was allocated prior to my ever coming into the department. So this is not new. So I do want to clarify that.
Okay, and it's important what you're saying now that you indicate that within the report narrative that in the response from commission staff. And I'll recognize Mr. Terrence Adams, our budget director.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Terrence Adams, Chief Fiscal Advisor for the Wayne County Commission. In your budget, there's 1.35 million of use of fund balance assigned that's put into your budget. Those are the dollars that's part of the 190 million that was certified to use of fund balance for the ARPA, called post ARPA general fund. Those are dollars that we're talking about. So I don't know if you or M&B can speak more about that, but those are dollars that are being utilized from the 190 million that was put into fund balance.
Thank you for clarifying the question. Wanda, are you on Zoom? Can you clarify for us?
Good.
Good morning, everyone. It's Wanda Taylor from Management and Budget. Our prior director for budget allocated those funds. You have to,
So from my understanding, when we were working through, creating this division, Jake Bauer at the time, was the budget lead, who's no longer here with us. So we are in a transition period in terms of understanding, certain items. When it comes to the creation of the division, those dollars look like they're to support the newly created division. I will work with MD, and Wanda and our team to see exactly, what those dollars are being allocated for and what we're gonna be utilizing for, and make sure that I do a full report to this commission, so you guys are fully aware of exactly how the dollars are being used, what they're gonna be used for, and you guys have the full plan for it.
Yes, and so, we need this information. As you see, our calendar is moving very quickly. And so we want, without delay. And so, definitely we'll be following up, after the meeting. Okay, and, at this time, I will open it up for questions, from, committee members and other commissioners who may have one. And, please remember to state your name and your district. Commissioner Scott, please.
I do want to just mention, looks like, Wanda was speaking via Zoom, she's texting, but nobody can hear her.
Okay, so is her audio fixed now?
She's off of mute. We should be able to hear her.
She's off of mute now, so. Ms. Wanda?
yes.
Wanda, are you available?
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Muted.
As we do that,
Okay,
She's off.
okay, so while we are trying to reach, her, we'll recognize Commissioner Scott, Arthur G. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Director and staff for being here.
absolutely.
The dollars, are those ARPA dollars that is going to be used, for, the homes, the grants like for, I've got about 10 folks in the city that have put in for these grants. And I want to know, when will these dollars be available?
For ARPA dollar, or your.
I don't know if they're ARPA dollars or what dollars you're using for these home repairs.
That would be CDPG, and I have two that right here. that they want.
Okay, so are those dollars available or when will they be available? This has been since 21.
The CDBG dollars are still available. We have been working with several, applications, especially in the city of Highland Park. We also are experiencing, we've had, inspectors go out to inspect to get specifications for the home. We came across a lot of issues in Highland Park where, a lot of homes have negated it. So we have to have the light inspector go out to get specifications and identify where the land is in the home. This is part of the requirement before we can start on any home. We're currently right now, get ready to get a contract, from our club council to be able to move forward or getting, doing work in the home. So we do have several, you're right, we do have several applicants, and we just identifying the process from HUD to Wayne County, and then the contractors to get a contract and a lien on the property to be able to move forward.
Because, there's some that have already went through all this land and all of that.
Yes.
So what's the next step?
The next step is, once we receive the contract, and we also have received bids back of several of those homes that you're referring to. So once we get the contract back, and then we're able to set up with the homeowner to come to sign the contractor to get it signed and move forward.
What's the time on that? Time?
I'm expecting the contract back next week. Yep.
All right, thank you. But also thank you for the work that you're doing in Highland Park. And in here. These are two of the poorest communities, so they do need the work done. And I appreciate it.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other commissioner to be recognized on the left? And I mean, to the right, okay, Commissioner Badil, and then Commissioner Khalil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Hassan, for the presentation. Great job, well done. Thank you. I want to ask you a question on the ARPA funds. I know we're gonna be going into batch 3 very soon, right?
Yeah, so we're getting away from terminology, of calling it batch 3 and all that, so. Did you have more of the question?
No, I mean, the question that I have, you expect to spend all or to allocate the rest of the money that we have in Wayne County before the deadline, which is 2024, I believe, correct?
So just to kind of do a full walkthrough from A to Z, in terms of what the process that we're looking at, which again, as I mentioned to this body, that we are going to come to you all with a presentation that'll walk you through everything. Currently, we're in the process of doing a review of batch 1, batch 2. We have our internal M&B team, finance team, as well as we brought in Ernst & Young to help us do this review for necessary purposes. That we feel we want to make sure that the process is being done properly, and moving forward that the process is an efficient process as well as one that dots the I's, crosses the T's. We also have our internal corp counsel as well as the Allen Law Group that is consulting with us to work with us on compliance and other areas. We're also working with our grants just to make sure from batch 1, batch 2, the process is getting better. So we're making sure that we outline the process for the revenue replacement projects, which will be known as moving forward as we allocated $190 million from the SLURP ARPA funds into revenue replacement, right? So what that did for us, it gave us the freedom of no longer having to be on the federal timeline. One, does that mean that we're slowing down? No. What it does mean is it's giving us the opportunity to take a look at the history of where we're at, making sure that it's being done properly, and then moving into the future with a proper system and process that we can make sure that from the reporting purposes and all of that, that this body can be proud of. From my perspective, when I inherited the department, there's areas in which I would have set things up differently, and that's part of what we're doing. Now, when it comes to moving forward and allocating projects out of that $190 million, we are, when it comes to the community projects, we're currently in the process. As you know, communities have been sending us applications, and we have numerous applications. However, we have started the process of discussing these projects and trying to make sure that we're identifying the eligible projects that we'll be pushing forth in front of you all and bringing you guys the reports. We are now in the process of identifying that. What I wanted to clarify in terms of getting away from batch 1, batch 2, that terminology was pretty much committed to the SLURP dollars. With revenue replacement, I want to start utilizing that terminology because that's what it is now. It's been allocated to revenue replacement dollars. Again, which gives us the freedom of no timeline, but also make sure that, and I want to make sure that the body understands, not only are we dedicated to making sure that dollars are going to be put into these projects, but also that we're not slowing down, we're being responsible with the time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, Commissioner Marecki, since I'm on this side, Commissioner Marecki, and then Commissioner Anderson, and then Commissioner Khalil will be last.
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
You mentioned Ernst & Young, our internal court counsel, an external one. What happened to Guidehouse? I thought they were doing all this stuff.
So Guidehouse was never involved in ARPA. They were involved in a project within ARPA, and that contract has run its course. But from our end, we're utilizing, since I've come on, we are utilizing the Allen Law Group, which we brought on after my coming on, as well as our internal corp counsel, to make sure that we're looking over compliance and whatnot, working with our own M&B department and our grants division, as well as we brought in E&Y for necessary needs as needed for other reviews on batch 1, batch 2.
So the contract with Guidehouse has expired? And I thought, I mean, I don't remember everything, that they were supposed to be looking at how the ARPA monies were spent and that we were doing it right.
So they were in charge of a specific project within, the ERAP program specifically. They were in charge of that, but that contract has ended. They were never really overseeing, ARPA. So part of what my team has done since we've come on, we've identified from batch 1, batch 2, learning lessons, right? What worked, what hasn't worked, what we want to see done better. Identified goals under the leadership of Mr. Evans. We have a high standard that we're setting for ourselves and for this department. And part of that means that we don't just move forward blindly. Part of it means that, okay, how can we learn from batch 1, batch 2 and make sure that the process moving forward is the best process possible?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned they're reviewing the other groups of projects that were approved in 1 and 2. Have you discovered that there's issues there with those at this point? Have you discovered there's issues and that's why we're at this delay and hearing about the status of our other projects that have been submitted that we're aware of?
So that's a great question. That's part of the reason why I wanted to start this review of batch 1, batch 2, right? We're still in the process. Once we've done the full review, we'll be at a place where I can answer that in detail for you. But at the current moment, because we're in the process of doing the reviews, I can't really speak to the answer yet, but I do want to identify the fact that why we're doing that, that is one of the reasons of looking at, okay, are there issues with any of the projects in batch 1, batch 2 that we need to be aware of? And if so, how can we prevent those issues from reoccurring in future projects that we approve in revenue replacement projects, right? So that's part of it. But once we finish the review, we will have more information to present to you, sir.
So you're not aware of any issues that have cropped up with any of those other projects that were approved by the commission that were submitted to this commission?
At the current moment, we're in the middle of the review. So
how long do you expect that to take? Because it seems as though it's been several months now since the last package of projects were approved. So if that was going to be your intent to see how those T's were crossed and I's dotted, when is that going to end? When is that going to end, and when are we going to move forward with the other projects that people have respectfully and following the process submitted?
Mm-hmm.
So when are we going to move forward?
Well, I appreciate the question. Just to again walk through history. When I first came on and we approved batch 2, it was under my being interim director. I was approved by this commission not too long ago. So in terms of doing these reviews and going into the weeds of certain items, that was given, in terms of once you approve me as director, which again, I thank this body for very much so. Now it's allowed us to do a more deeper dive. When it comes to the amount of time between batch 2 and now our future revenue replacement projects, if we look at the time period between batch 1 and batch 2, there was also a long period of time. We are definitely, moving in a faster pace than between batch 1 and batch 2. But again, we're doing it diligently and responsibly. What I would like to say in regards to communities that are awaiting responses, we are keeping our eye on certain projects, especially projects that have, I know this has been brought up by this body, matching dollars, associated with these projects, and those kinds of projects, we have our eyes on it. At the same time, we want to be responsible. And that's my main focus right now in terms of fixing the process, while adjusting the process if need be, and making sure that we're in a place when we move forward, we're doing it in a responsible manner with these dollars. But I do plan on, going as quickly as possible. Like I said, we're not slowing down. what we are doing, and I understand that, you know, for yourself, that answer may be too broad. But from our end, you know, I want to make sure that we are responsibly looking at everything prior to moving forward. But we have simultaneously started the conversation on the projects. We haven't slowed it down saying that we're waiting for this to be done and then looking at projects. No, we've already started the conversations on the project, so everything will be ready to go as soon as we're ready to move.
You are aware of when we have to approve this budget, correct?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Chair, I'm at the point right now that I'm not ready to vote for the budget unless we get an answer on when the next group of projects are going to be submitted to this commission to approve. I think that's not being unreasonable, but we've been asking for this for some period of time. And it seems as though we continue to get indications that post ARPA dollars, that we're coming up into terms, seems like on a regular basis, or the administration is. I want to see some progress on this because I'm not prepared. I won't be prepared to vote for the budget unless we get some answers and we have an opportunity to move the ball down the road with respect to the projects that have been submitted. And because we're not getting any answers, we're not getting straight answers. We're getting very broad, as he even admitted, that we're getting these just broad estimates, not even estimates of when we're going to see something. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I may not continue with that position, but I want to see something happen. That we're not continue to be led to believe that I'm beginning to believe it's not going to happen by the time we have to approve this budget, and that'll be a problem for me.
So from my thought, and that's why it's unfortunate that this commission was given an advance notice that various dollars from ARPA that was put into the fund balance with explicit instructions was not, I guess, given advance notice that dollars will be utilized in the budget, overall arching budget appropriation. My frame of thought is that's two separate discussions. The ARPA projects are something that's totally separate from what we're doing as it relates to our work in this committee and to be brought forward to the commission. That's a total separate discussion. But unfortunately, we're given advance notice. It's not as if, because our staff did tell us that was the possibility. There's a couple of ways that they could utilize these funds once we put it over into the fund balance. That this was one of the ways that they could piecemeal it out. Even though we were told that would not happen, staff did give us advance notice. But in regards to that, there is nothing that prevents them from doing that. It's our job to take it under consideration as we deliberate over this budget. But we have to approve. This is a statutory requirement for us to approve the budget. But unfortunately, they have brought those questions by utilizing those piecemealing the ARPA dollars into this discussion. So, but I see it as separate. But I hear your point. You are a commissioner. You have the ability to state what your concerns are, and staff have to do their best to try to respond to those questions, especially as a member of this committee that has to recommend this budget. You've heard the comments, but and I would like for you to take that into serious consideration as it relates to the timeline, or at least give us a timeline. I don't think that because they're the executive branch, I think you should still have, should based on this back and forth, give some sort of timeline associated with when you, it don't have to be bound to this, but we need a clear, more definite timeline based on what the commissioners are saying on when you're going to be bringing up, whether you call it batch or whether you call it, whatever definition you're going to utilize for bringing those items forward.
Duly noted, Commissioner. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. And then the last is Commissioner Colleen. Thank you. Okay, you're done? You okay, I'm recognizing you. Oh,
I thought you were calling on
oh, no, she said that's okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Pulling, District One. I always get to bat last because I'm technically not on this committee. Good morning, Director Shake. What in the economic development budget is aimed towards small businesses in this county?
So within our ARPA dollars that were allocated prior to my coming on, we have a small business program, small business hub, that we have, I believe, $10 to $15 million allocated within that project. As we move forward, and I've indicated to this commission, I'm currently in the process of creating an economic development plan, which will outline goals, strategy, as well as deliverables for this county. I'm working on that right now under the leadership of Mr. Evans. Small businesses are extremely important to me, and that will be outlined within that economic development plan in regards to how we're going to move towards providing resources and helping our small businesses of this county.
Okay, because I didn't see 50 million was allocated, you said?
No, it's 10 to 15.
I thought,
10 to 15. And that was through batch one.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned 50 when in your comments. Okay, because we used to have a one-stop center for small businesses in the county that went away 7, 8 years ago. And I do recall in the original paperwork around the ARPA dollars that there was discussion, maybe not exactly the same as that. And I'm asking because it is so important, and those small businesses have been hurt so bad over the last couple of years. So what you're saying to me now, if I got it right, you're going to develop some sort of a fund to fund this?
No, that's not.
So what's the, because I don't see anything in your budget on this. So what is, what you kind of verbally described, so what is the plan going forward for small business?
So there's existing dollars that were allocated from batch one in ARPA that were allocated for small business relief. So that's one. Two, moving forward, I'm in the process of creating an economic development plan. And within that plan, I will talk about a plan for small businesses. For small businesses, along with other items that have to do with economic development. I can assure you that small business is extremely important. And it's something that under the leadership of Mr. Evans is extremely important to Mr. Evans as well. What I would like for you to do is, with this body, I've committed and I'm always approachable and ready, as you all have my number and I answer the calls from many of you numerous times. If you guys have any advice, concern, any ideas that you guys think about in terms of, for example, small business, please make sure, send me an email. Let me know. I would like to hear those ideas. I would like to know that, as well as historical knowledge, like you just shared right now, that there used to be a one-stop shop 7, 8 years ago. I would like to know these kinds of things because it will help us move into the future in a better way, collaboratively.
So the 10 to 15 million in the batch one, which we don't talk about batches anymore.
We talk about batch one and batch two.
Okay, that was to assist businesses, small businesses that took really bad losses.
So that was separate. There was in batch one, and at this time, I was working for a municipality within Wayne County, and at that time, Wayne County was providing small business grants for small businesses. This is separate. This is a small business hub allocation that was created within batch one of ARPA that will be utilizing to create some sort of program for small businesses, as that's what it was allocated for. That's ARPA. When it comes to economic development and our plans moving forward, we would like to have a more concrete idea and plan, as well as, what are the needs of small businesses? how can we fill in those gaps? Our job and responsibility at the county level is we have 43 communities, as you all know. The needs of the small businesses, some overlap, and some in each community are different. For us to not only find out and figure out what are the overlapping issues that we can address, but what are the individual issues within the communities, and how can we address those collaboratively? And that is what we're going to be looking at.
I do want to go back because it's a whole sea of acronyms and all that kind of stuff. So you corrected me, there was not a 50 million allocation in batch one, and I think you referred to 10 to 15 million. Can you be very specific? I don't know if I've gotten yet what that 10 to 15 million has gone for.
Currently, it hasn't gone towards anything yet. It's there. It's for small businesses. Now, when I inherited this department, that funding was there. And you know, as we're moving into the future, we're looking at possibilities of how we're going to be utilizing existing dollars that were allocated prior to my coming on, if there are any. For example, these dollars here for this program, as well as what we want to do. Again, coming back to you all with replacement dollars, as well as on a overall arching vision and goal.
So you're going to sit on this 10 to 15 million and not spend it for any other purpose until you develop a small business plan and however you're couching it today. And that money won't be spent until that plan has been approved?
Not necessarily. What I would like to do is think thoroughly through it and see what the plans are for this collaborative opportunities and abilities within within that. But at the same time, I would like to. Again, I just became the director. I've just inherited this department. For myself, looking at what I'm walking in with, what resources I have, I would like to thoroughly think through what the opportunities and the possibilities are prior to just implementing. Again, I'm very big on being well-minded in the way that we are setting up programs and what the impacts are, as well as making sure that the processes are set in an appropriate manner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I look forward to some robust discussions, perhaps in the Economic Development Committee. I think your feeling for small business is certainly shared with everybody at this table and from different communities that have different needs. And so I think a real good, robust discussion in our economic development, like what do we need? What do we need to go for? What kind of resources you do have? What we could look for perhaps in the future. But I think that discussion, Mr. Chair, would be a good one to have before a full plan is developed. And then it's like, well, here you go. This is what we're doing. So thank you, Mr. Director Shake. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, one thing that I have suggested is that inside of the EDC, one thing we've seen from the ARPA dollars and all these other dollars since I've been on here the past couple of years, that inside of each of these 15 commission districts, there is a need for support for nonprofits as well as business, small businesses. And the commission should have the ability to suggest and recommend on an ongoing basis, whether it's a grant program, as we see in some areas where it's a competitive grant situation, or if it's a project that has been brought forward because of the benefit that it would gain within a commission district. I had conversations with you about in this budget cycle allocating specific dollars that would be able to address the nonprofit and small business needs within commission districts based on recommendations for various projects within those commission districts. Yep, so that's something that we'll continue to talk over the next week or so as we develop this budget. And this would be on an ongoing basis, having conversations with Kresge's and a number of those foundations that are supporting funds and supporting efforts in this, along these lines.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner, Commissioner Anderson, you'll be the last person.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair, for the second opportunity. I realize there's some that probably thought my words were too strong, but I'm very frustrated at how long we've been getting this shuffle of excuses about when we're going to see the next phase or next group of projects. So I will, like you said, I guess I'm just trying to alert everyone that that's the direction it seems that we're going, is we're not going to get answers prior to having to approve this budget. In this budget, and we could be specific to one particular department that is responsible for providing those projects and that information and updates to us. So I want everyone, I hope everyone will keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I want to thank you for coming this morning, and you heard the questions, comments. I'd like for you to go back, deliberate, and prepare a response. Also, comments that you presented to this committee, if you would provide them to Mr. Adams so we can have a complete record as we have been mentioning before. Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, one moment. Let's wait. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item C, discussion and presentation by the clerk's office.
Good morning, Madam Clerk.
Good morning.
Or is on? I believe it's on. Yeah. Good morning, Clerk Garrett and Deputy Clerk Seals. Thank you. Would you please state your name for the record and your position?
Good morning to the entire body. I am Kathy with a C, M. Garrett, Wayne County Clerk.
I'm going to Seals, Chief Deputy Clerk.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, I just want, I want to start out on a truly high note, thanking this body and those that are absent, for you finally hearing my voice in the wilderness and voting to allow our Vital Statistics Division to move to 400 Monroe on the 6th floor. I'd like to thank Commissioner Bell, Clementi, Hayes, Baker McCormick, and Scott for coming to our ribbon cutting. It was special to me, and I appreciate you coming. So.
I would like to also say it's a wonderful office. I went over and visited the other day, and thank you and your staff for responding to that concern. So your budget is presented to us, and we've been having ongoing conversations with you and communications that this committee and the full commission has received regular communications as relates to the hiring issues and challenges that your department is having. And I want to thank you for keeping us informed of the status of those challenges within your office. Here we are, and so you may begin proceeding with presenting the budget for the next fiscal year.
Well, I don't have so much as a presentation. We did not get all that we asked for, but my focus remains to be that we're functional, that we can run the operation. So as you're well aware from my communications, we have learned, and I'm so thankful to the dedicated staff that we have in the county clerk's office. We've learned to do what we need to do with a whole lot less and doing a whole lot more. So I think I would just prefer for you to ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, I'll open it up for questions. If you have any, questions, please, please state your name, your district. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners? Commissioner, Baydun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Garrett. First, I want to apologize for not making it to the ribbon cutting. I was under the weather. I didn't want to get anybody sick. That's going to be fine. But thank you for everything. Thank you, Mr. Steele. I have reached out to you on many occasions when residents from my district. By the way, I'm Commissioner Baydun from the city of Dearborn, District 13. Obviously, things have improved from your perspective, right, in your department. Are you still seeing a long wait, people getting appointments for whether it's the licenses or any type of business that they need to conduct for the county clerk? Are they still like 2 or 3 weeks out, a month out for appointments? Just if you can give us just like a timeline.
I can't give you a specific timeline because I don't have the scheduler in front of me. However, I will say things have improved in the sense that finally we're down to 60 or 61 vacancies where we've been riding the 90s, the 80s. So we're at 61. As far as the wait for appointments, largest county, highest volume. So, but as you well know, are aware of, as well as many of the other commissioners up here, when you call, we find a way to assist you. So,
We thank you for
all
that.
right.
Absolutely.
We do what we have to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Any additional questions? Commissioner Marecki?
I just have a comment, and I was across the entire country that day that you had.
You preferred Alaska time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was sorry to miss it though, but I just want to echo Sam's sentiment that you guys have been really helpful. And the wait must be getting better because unless it's an emergent situation, I'm not even getting any comments anymore about waiting. So I really appreciate that. You guys do a great job. Do a great job with the elections and that's coming up, which I'm sure gives you a headache even thinking about primaries and elections. And but yeah, thank you. So it's good to hear that. So you're at 60 vacancies instead of 90.
Correct.
And is that because of some of the pay increases?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's because and what pay increases.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so that's another story. But I think that we have maybe had a minor uptick in people applying. And I'm staying extremely prayerful and optimistic that these individuals will stay because what we have found is that you invest an enormous amount of training and they realize, well, that's the pattern that it has been, that you know what, this is real work. And again, for the pay, they leave. So long story short, I think it's because we've gotten some applicants that have accepted the positions.
and how about for the court clerks? Tell me about that.
Ray Murphy is still, that 60 vacancies, and I don't have the breakdown in front of me, but the majority of that are for court clerk positions and court personnel. And that's still a critical issue.
And are you bringing back any retirees? I'm trying to think of, yes.
Trust me, we have been thinking outside the box, around the box and everywhere else. And I'm sad to say, and we've been in meetings with the chief judge, the new court administrator. I personally have called retired court clerks. I've had the administrators, I've had relationship supervisors, and we haven't had any takers. They do not want to come back and work in the courtroom. So that's still a mission that we're working on, but
Well, and that affects a lot of different departments. I mean, that's a huge thing with the courts. And do you think it would just be a pay increase that would have people applying for that, or is there more to it?
I'll just say what my experiences have been when you're trying to recruit and solicit and then you say what the pay scale is. that's kind of like, are you kidding me? So I would say that that's
That's
major.
number one step.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for everything you guys do. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Baker McCormick, no, Commissioner Baker McCormick, and then Commissioner Scott will be last.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the clerk for being here today.
Oh, you got a question?
One of my questions, I asked a couple years ago was about the staff attorney. You don't have a staff attorney. And we are still overlapping in the elections and, with the canvas. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that still hasn't been addressed, and there's more concern and issue than just the elections and the canvas. There have been some requests sent from me for even legal opinions, and I've yet to be responded to, and this goes back as far as March. So I would think that that's front, center, and foremost, that we do need the ability to have outside counsel.
And has that conversation continued with the administration, or, I mean, is there any movement or any discussion?
The discussion has been via me in letters that have gone over there, but it hasn't been reciprocated. So no, there hasn't been any movement, but in my opinion, it is great.
Yeah, I just believe that there's, those are two different entities, and there should be some separation there. And it creates a conflict of interest.
Well, and
I know that.
And even more so than that, Commissioner, not to cut you off, what I experienced probably a few months ago left me very confused as to who represents who. I had a situation that I came forth about. I stood there alone. However, when it was time for the administration's individual to have comments, Corporation Counsel stood with that person. No one stood with me. So that truly has heightened my need and concern about who's representing who.
And is that an issue with, I guess, your budget and budgeting in that additional attorney? What,
It's included in this budget, and it has been before.
so there is a line item for that individual, but we just haven't filled that position.
I hope that is the only reason for this.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Scott, and then I correct myself, Commissioner Tim Killeen will be last.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, it's still morning. Good morning, Madam Clerk, Mr. Seals. It's always a pleasure to see you. And I've been, I guess, here long enough to see that was your main issue, was moving. So we're so glad that we finally won. So what is your issue now that you would like? Is it that attorney or something else?
Well, my concern, I'll say, and that was one of them, moving the Vital Statistics Division was big. That was a big one. I would say what remains is definitely the salaries, because that's why we're not able to retain or recruit, because of the salaries, and then definitely the attorney.
Okay, well, we know what we need to work on for you then.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do over in that office, because I heard my other colleagues say you've helped them, and I know that my constituents have been helped well. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call on Commissioner Baker McCormick, then Commissioner Clemente, and then Commissioner Killeen.
And by the way, I am Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick. I represent District 6, Northwest Detroit and Redford Township. I didn't say that
Okay,
at all.
thank you.
So
Right,
what
right.
I'm gonna do is
Have no problem.
finally get that in.
Yeah.
Just a clarification on the attorney. You do have a line item for an attorney. And the money the money is there for an attorney. But we're just not filling that position.
hasn't been approved.
Oh, okay. So is that?
You know, the exception, I think is what she's trying to receive.
Okay,
Is he in favor?
you have to state your name.
Just a
Just for
trying
trade.
to clarify.
Commissioner Glenn Anderson, District 12, Westland and southern portion of Livonia. Thank you also for all the help for when you had calls and getting those resolved. To this point, I think what Commissioner Baker McCormick is trying to get to is was the budget that was submitted to the executive, was that what response did you get? Was there just that for that particular thing, the attorney?
You're speaking of the current budget?
Yes, the current budget. Has it been stricken from your budget or what was the response?
The line item is in the budget, as far as the money there. As you know, that anytime we go out to approve a contract or venture into a do, it has to be approved by this honorable body right here, though. So this be brought to, I guess, the ops and then to the full board at that point, though. So I think we need to go out first, procure or find attorney, and then we'll bring that to this body.
Okay.
I think most of us, if not all of us, are supporting that.
Commissioner Clemente and then Commissioner Kling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kara Clementi, District 4, here in my hometown. Thank you very much for coming and for your budget. And just for my knowledge, being a new commissioner, you talked a little bit about staffing and court clerks. I was looking through here, there's a range of salaries from as low as 15,000 something to higher. What is the, I know workforce is very hard to find people, but what's the educational, what do you have to do to become a clerk? So if we're out in our communities and people are looking for jobs, we might be able to send them your way, but what do they need to have to be a clerk?
For a court clerk?
Yes, court clerk, yes.
Okay, for a court clerk is basically 18 years of age, high school education, and all the intense training comes from internally. So it's very basic for something that is so important and so needed. But there's strenuous, intense training that is given inside the clerk's office from staff that have been court clerks for 20, 30 years.
And about how long does that take to?
And then also, I forgot this with for anything from the file room to the courtroom, to work with Third Circuit Court, you have to pass a background check.
Thank you for that.
Commissioner Kling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tim Colleen, Commissioner District 1. Good morning, Madam Clerk. I want to follow up just for a minute on Commissioner Marecki's question. So you've added about 25 people to your staff? That you had 80 vacancies and now you're down to 60?
I don't know that, well, yeah, the math adds up, 25 people, but stretched across what, 4 or 5 different
No, I
offices.
got that, but you,
Okay.
are those all county employees or did we go to a employment firm to provide us?
We didn't go, but the fact that the union and the county executive, the administrative office, they had an agreement where we do have, what do you call them, from temporary agents.
Yeah. And I believe the idea, and we've talked about this not only in your shop, but other shops around the county, the idea is to try to make them county employees. correct, after the training and getting training and whatnot, and hire them as county employees and not temporary.
That's always the intent.
Yeah, and have you been able to do that at all here?
There's been maybe two. The others,
Okay.
pretty much the temps that come in is like a revolving door. They come, but they don't stay.
Yeah, not good for managing your shop.
No.
Well, good luck with that effort. Where are we at with, digitalizing? You've got a ton of records, maybe every county resident should go over onto East Jefferson and take a look at how far back county records go and what we have stored there. Where are we at? Because in your answer, to the question, that you requested funds and capital improvements, but because of the cost, you don't anticipate funding. How much digitalization are we able to do right now to archive all of this?
I think that's a broad question to ask me off the top of my head, but what I will share with you is that I have come previously to this body requesting the funding for that to happen. Then fast forward, at one point, the administration had, I believe it was Judge Kaufman, was spearheading the imaging, and that went off track. As it stands, as we kind of get bits and pieces, that's something that's still in the works with the administration. Now, personally, for the standpoint of the clerk's office, not to be redundant, I've come before this body quite a few times over the years, and the only movement was when Judge Kaufman was at the forefront of it. And I'm not privy to what the status is at this point, but yes, I still want to do it. Yes, it's truly needed.
You have something in the budget before us for the digitalization and the archiving?
I don't think it is put in there.
No.
No.
So are we doing any at this current?
As I just shared with you, Commissioner, that it is at a standstill. The fact
Okay.
of the matter, what I just said.
Yeah, well, I was looking for yes, no, and I was trying to
Okay.
figure
well,
my
no.
way
No.
through that.
No,
And that is just, I mean, you keep the record of the county.
well,
And, well, I think this is for everybody in the room and everybody that might be listening. And people have to be able to go back and get those records in an increasing digitalized world, not to have them digitalized. That's not a good thing. So I just wanted to, again, raise that issue. Getting those records digitalized is very, very important. In questions that came to you, there was two questions about provide an explanation about why the CEO is recommending an increase at 268,000 in personnel. And when you responded to our staff, and there was another similar question to that, that was in the general fund. There was a similar question in general fund court services. The answer was the answers would be forthcoming. So are you able
Even to management and budget, not to the clerk.
that went to, it's in the clerk's package.
Yeah, yes, because that's.
Okay, so that's not a question for you, although I could have been led to believe that. Because it was in the packet for the clerk today.
No, but
So
it's
I'll-
part of the overarching question as relates to the budget recommendation, which come from the administration. So those questions go to management and budget and facilitate to the appropriate persons who need to
I see.
answer them.
Is it appropriate to ask management and budget
You can at
at
this
the
time.
current?
Yes, where we are now.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, that's not a question for you. That's a question for management and budget. Where in the CEO's budget, they're recommending a 268,000 increase in personnel salaries, and in another area, 1.2 million. Can management and budget, give an answer for those two questions, please?
Okay, so providing explanation why the CEO is recommending an increase of 268 in personnel
Please
salary.
state your name and title, please.
Yes, absolutely, sorry. Rob Whittigan, Chief Deputy Financial Officer for Lane County, Michigan. So I'll be getting those to you here shortly, hopefully no later than Monday. I believe that's attributed to, we are trying to ensure that we include any potential or current known CBA increases. But our budget analyst that is the expert for the clerk is on vacation. So him and I will be working on that when he returns tomorrow, and we'll make sure to get.
So your answer is that that increase is based upon projected or expected contract
Yeah, we try to do
negotiation,
our best to.
collective bargaining agreement.
Right, we try to do our best, we have a extensive spreadsheet to do our best to ensure that any potential negotiations or obviously just general increases in salary and wages.
I appreciate
But I want
that.
to make sure, I want to clarify that, so on the record, I will say I'll stick with the answer in the packet is forthcoming, we'll get that to you here in a couple of days.
Okay, also, any other outstanding questions associated with
There was
increases
one
in
other in this packet that we told you we'd get you here right away.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Mr. Seal wanted to.
Oh, Mr. Seals, I
say
didn't see you, I'm
something
sorry.
about
Please state your name.
Yes, Dwayne Seals, our Chief Deputy Clerk. Through the Chair, Commissioner Clean, Deputy CFO is correct. What happens is you take a look through our list, you see some of the salaries listed there. Notice like you mentioned there's one that I think one commissioner mentioned is $15,000. We're using actual numbers. I think they're using the true number, true amount for that particular position. And of course, we didn't include some of the pay increases too. But that's why there's a difference in rate than what we have and with the CEO. We're not gonna claim.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Seals. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
If I may, through the chair to Commissioner Colleen, since we are on record, I want to circle back to say that I'm well aware of the importance of digitizing the records. It seems like Commissioner Colleen will be one of the spearheaders over here with the commission when we come to say we need the funding for the digitizing that. I can look to Commissioner Colleen to lead the charge. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
yes, Commissioner Kling.
it depends on the plan that comes before us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Just trying to do my job.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Madam Clerk and Mr. Seals, for coming forth. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Motion and support to pass item 1 for the day.
Okay. Okay, a motion is in order to pass the item for the day. It's been moved and supported. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, this action stands approved. Next item on the agenda.
We have item E under new business. There is none listed. Item F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I know of none. Next item.
Public comments.
At this time, I would like to ask, Madam Clerk, is there anyone with their hand raised on Zoom who would like to address this committee at this time?
We do have one hand raised by local 1659.
Chair recognizes.
I'm not sure if we're going to be able to hear.
Okay, let's see. So let's see, one moment. We're just confirming our technology will allow for us to hear. Okay.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
We're communicating with the speaker to see if they're able to connect by Zoom.
We've also asked if she can email the comment after we
Okay. We also asked, we're waiting to see if she's able to email her comments, and so we can read it into the record.
It'll take a minute.
She's not responding. She may not see the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, have you received, and are there any additional hands raised?
No additional hands are raised.
Were there any emails received?
No emails were received.
At this time, I'd like to ask anyone in the audience who would like to address this committee at this time. Anyone in the audience? Okay, Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item H, adjournment.
Motion is in order.
So moved.
It's been moved, supported. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Meeting stands adjourned. I'd just like to remind everyone that the committee will be meeting tomorrow at the Guardian Building, and at that time, we'll be hearing from the Homeland Security, facilities and management planning and personnel. So that meeting will be taking place tomorrow at the first hearing begins at 4:30, right? 4:30 at the Guardian Building. Thank you and have a rest of